How is everybody? I'm Chris.
I'm Jason. Yeah.
I don't know if anyone has seen any of our material before, any of our videos. If you're familiar with our work, does anyone attend any of our webinars that we've done, or is a subscriber to the magazine? Big show of hands. No. We're kind of small in Minneapolis. We started this program 5 months ago, as Jane said, and it's been a labor of love in some respects. We come to find ourselves in the wedding industry through different circumstances. Both Jason and I worked at a company called StomperNet for about 3 years, and that's the leading SEO authority in the world. And we really learned a lot by working with the very best SEO practitioners in the world, sort of debunking theories, working out what Google's really doing, and really looking at the landscape and kind of understanding what's real and what's not, what works and what doesn't. There's a ton of SEOs out there, and most of them, or a great many of them, will get your business and they won't do anything. Well, they'll do a little bit, and they'll try to make it like SEO is this really hard to understand, very complicated thing that you're not supposed to understand, but just give me your money and don't ask too many questions. And I guess we really wanted to get into this market so is that we can teach everybody what to do, how to do it yourselves, and kind of demystify the whole process. And we put together a DVD series. We're going to be going through step by step today. By the time you leave here today, we want you to be in the next cocktail party you're at, to be the one in the room that can actually answer the question, how does Google work? Okay? We're going to lift the veil if at all possible.
This seems like really loud. I might just shut it off.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. I was just going to basically, I just wanted to survey the room here. Does anybody know what SEO is or have heard of SEO? Is this the first time you're actually hearing the acronym SEO? Raise your hand. Basically, search engine optimization is not always just Google. Google has about 70% of the market. Outsourcing a company to kind of take care of the search engine optimization. So Chris and I today are going to share with you the big black secret on what it takes to actually get to the top of Google. There are no tricks. It's pretty much all openly available if you started to just Google it yourself. But at the end of the day, Google, I look at it like this. Google's like a big ATM machine. It really is. And the sites that actually can get to the top of Google are the ones that are actually depositing money each and every day out of that big ATM machine. So by the time we leave here, we hope that we can tell you just a few tips, tricks, and reveal the big Google secret on what it takes to actually get to the top of Google.
We did have a video, but we don't have sound. So as Jane said, we have Wedlock Magazine. Oh, that helps. Thank you. That comes out once a month. We have a webinar series that two times a month we do webinars, and we really talk people through the process of what to do. Google changes on a regular basis, so we have to keep up to date on it. But one of the biggest thing that Jason and I did, we hid away in a basement for 3 months, and we interviewed each other and we picked each other's brains, and our objective was to come out with a product that was easy to understand, that was fun, that was animated, and that could teach people who know nothing. Those of you who raise your hand who've just heard of SEO for the very first time, we built this thing for you. Right? It's a DVD series. It's a 11-chapter, 5-hour, fully animated DVD series. So it takes people from knowing nothing to knowing just about everything there is to know about search engine optimization. And don't be worried about whether or not you can or can't change your website. There's people that you can get to do that. If you have hands up everyone who has a website. I'm assuming everyone does have a website. Most people do. Whoever built your website can do all the things that we're going to tell you how to do. Okay? If you have a good relationship with them. If you don't, we're going to show you tools to use that you can do it for yourself, or a place to go to find someone that can do it for you. So don't tune out thinking this is going to be techie. We're really specific about not making it techie and trying to make it easy to understand.
One thing before we kind of continue, I'd like to get, because there's going to be some golden nuggets that I like to call in this presentation. So what I like to have people do is take out something to write with, put a line down the middle, on the left-hand side, put action items. that you actually can do in the future. And then on the right-hand side, put down basically just things that you actually learned from today. Because there's going to be action items, and then there's going to be things that you just kind of find interesting that you might want to do some research on. Yeah.
Before we get started, I just want to mention that we also have an agency called EverSpark. The owners of Wedlock Magazine, we also own a search engine optimization agency. Our aim is not to get all of you to sign up with our agency. We're extremely expensive, and I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, but we do work on behalf of very, very big organizations. I don't say that arrogantly. I say that because our clients are extremely demanding. We top rank for online poker. It's arguably the hardest keyword in the world to rank for, and our clients, what, number 2 and number 3, go up and down. They make like $250,000 a day with that ranking. It's rather serious business. We top rank for BP oil spill lawyer, and we did it in 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks.
We top rank for DWI lawyer, unbelievably competitive keyword. Refrigerators, is that a hard one?
Refrigerators, no. I mean, when I think see what happens is we tend to focus on clients when they're already on like page 2 and they just need that edge to get to the top. And I think we're number 3 now for refrigerators. Public relations agency was kind of interesting. I actually called one of the biggest PR companies in New York City to see if they were interested in doing some barter work. At the time that we actually started working with them, they were number 8 for public relations firm and public relations agency. And in only a week and a half, they are now number 1 for both public relations firm and public relations agency. Right. And in exchange, we're getting a lot of barter. Today, Google revealed it's called Google Instant. And I don't know if any of you are aware of this, but there's a lot of buzz happening right now. And my phone has been ringing with just new interview after interview. But we're here because we want to basically share some of the tools and things that you guys can use to actually effectively market your business. But the long of the story is, you know, wedding marketing, we're number 1. We just created the magazine in like 2 months ago, and we quickly got to be number 1 for that term. So everything that we're going to share with you today has dollars and ROI attached to it, and you just kind of pay attention, take some notes, and it's going to be pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah, and also I want to mention that all the research that we've done for the wedding industry, trying to rank for these keywords, hard, very hard. Okay, you really have to know what you're doing. If you had a poker site, we wouldn't tell you go do it for yourself. You kind of got to have some heavyweights in your corner in order to top rank for something like that. But in your market, 95% of the searches that are done on Google are done on a local basis. They're typing in Minneapolis wedding vendor. They're typing in Minneapolis florist, right? And those are just so easy to rank for. If you apply what we're going to teach you how to do, it's a no-brainer. And the last thing I want to mention before we get into it is that there's a misconception out there, and people who don't understand search engine optimization give the guys who are top ranking way too much credit. This stuff has only been around since 2004. When Google went public, that's when search engine optimization like sprung up. So it's only been 6 years. So don't give them that much credit. They're not that far ahead of you. If the fact that you're in this room sets you aside from virtually everyone else in your market. So with that said.
Sure. Did you play the video, or are you not going to do the video?
It didn't work.
Okay.
All that work. So yeah, Bridal Traffic is a DVD series. It comes free of charge with a subscription to Wedlock Magazine. It's fully animated, as I said before, and it's very, very meticulous. It's really our life's work. Everything we've ever learned, and we kind of boiled it down into salient pieces. And today what we want to do is try to give you the most important parts. We're not going to stand up here for 5 hours and give you 11 chapters worth of stuff. We're going to put you to sleep and you're going to hate us. So we want to kind of boil it down, but we want to give you takeaway points. And we want you to be able to walk out of here to be able to apply those to your sites immediately, or tell someone, you know, that's what you need them to do. We don't want you to ever go to an SEO again and be taken advantage of the way people take their cars to a mechanic, and if you don't know how to be a mechanic, they're going to charge you $500. That stops now, okay? So these are all the chapters. Today we're going to go through probably up to chapter 5. We'll see how we go on time for the first session, and then 6 through the rest for the second session.
If you have questions, just jot them down, and then what we'll do is we'll probably answer questions after each session, I think?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay, and this is kind of, I want you to pay attention to this because this is the path of SEO. Okay? Everything starts with keyword research. If you don't know what you want to rank for and why you want to rank for that, meaning that there's no point in ranking for a keyword that doesn't have large search volume, and there's equally no point in trying to rank for a keyword that has good search volume, but your competition has 10,000 links coming into their page. You're going to be spending a lot of time trying to get past a monster. There's a way to do it, but you're better off spending time understanding what you can rank for. So we're going to show you how to do that. On-page SEO, off-page SEO, we'll explain all this stuff, how blogging fits into the SEO piece, what kind of blogging you need to do, what kind of software you need to download and use on your sites in order to do it.
Who has a blog? How many people blog daily? How many people blog weekly? Monthly? Okay, good.
And of you people, how many of your blogs are actually on your site, or are they off of your site? So on your site? And anyone have a blog off of your site? One? Get it on your site.
We'll talk to you about the benefits of having it on your site. Yeah.
Site design, what comes into it. Freeline offers, Tammy touched on it before in the context of giving something. We talk a lot about social media. Jason and I don't really profess to be specialists in social media, but we will say that it's an extension of the free line. Okay, and a free line is just the people who are prepared to educate their market and brand themselves as educators. They're going to make so much more money with their website. Be known for that. Don't go onto Twitter and say, hey, make sure you go to my website and buy this, right? Don't talk to them about offers. Talk to them about what you can do for them. Give them things for free. So we'll go through all that. Talk about opt-ins, autoresponders, and overall, it's about the user experience.
This is an interesting story. We started working with Tammy. We actually do the search engine optimization for the Perfect Wedding Guide. We started that relationship about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago. We started working with Gary's market in particular. Everybody's market, whoever advertises here, will benefit from this. What we did was, when we look at a campaign, for example, we'll look at every keyword differently. So, for example, Minneapolis wedding venue. That's a pretty competitive keyword. Not as competitive as like wedding or wedding favors. Or usually, the longer the keywords get, the easier they are to rank for. So with Minneapolis wedding venue, what we do is we actually dissect the page. We'll sit there and we'll reverse engineer using some of the tools that we're going to share with you here in a second. We'll reverse engineer exactly what we need to do and create a game plan to actually get to #1 on Google. And there's a lot of information, there's a lot of data that's actually available for free using some of the tools that we'll share with you. But in a matter of, I think, 2 weeks, we moved Gary, I think, from page 2 to #1 for Minneapolis wedding venue. And it didn't take that long at all. It requires some time, some commitment. You're going to have to commit some time. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, everything else is free or very cheap.
Yep. These things up here, Google Maps, I'm sure everyone's been paying attention to those. We're going to show you what to do with those and how to get top rankings on Google Maps as well. Okay, it's in your market, that's really important because Google Maps is all about local search. So the very first thing you need to understand is you have to get the right tools. You have to have visibility. Okay, so and these tools are all free except for Market Samurai is free, but there is a paid-for version after 30 days or something like that. And I'll explain to you what all those are. SEO Book Toolbar, you need to be on Firefox and be using Mozilla. But what the toolbar will allow you to do is every single site that you look at, you're going to hear us talk a lot about inbound links. Right, you're going to hear us talk about PageRank. You're going to hear us talk about how many anchor text links a site has coming into it. That's really, it's the currency of the internet. We're going to go through a whole section about that. But the SEO Book Toolbar gives you an overview of every single site that you look at. And it's always where we start. I want to know who I'm up against. I want to know if they have 20 links or if they have 5,000 links, right? So that gives you a bit of competitive analysis and allows you to have visibility. The second most, and I don't know if it's the second most important tool, but the Google Keyword Tool. You want to talk a little bit about that, Chase?
So yeah, the Google Keyword Tool is free. This is something that I definitely would recommend writing down, is just go to Google and type in Google Keyword Tool. Because this is market research that 10 years ago would cost you thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars people paid for this kind of market research. And Google reveals it for free, hoping that you will actually use their pay-per-click model and start bidding on keywords. So everything we're going to talk about today is more geared towards the organic side of SEO. Pay-per-click, where you can actually bid on that stuff, that's pretty easy. Everything that we're going to share is pretty competitive and pretty hard to understand. But we're going to dummy it, make it not dummy it down, but give everybody the cliff notes to actually.
You almost said the naughty word.
So the Google Keyword Tool, we'll kind of get into that. I think we've actually pulled a couple sites.
We did.
And we're going to show you how we actually research keywords. But it's a free tool, and it's very easy to access, and it's going to give you all kinds of data that you won't believe. So we'll share with you in a second.
Yahoo is an amazing service. On there you can find out how many links a site has and get really involved in it. I don't want to talk too much about exactly what these tools do right now. We're going to show you through process how we use the tools. But just make a note of all of those. This one over here with the feather, that's called Composer, spelled with a K. And what it does is it allows you, we're going to talk to you about on-page factors. So these are called meta tags. These are the things that the Google spiders see. Okay? So when Google comes to your site, they want to see a language that makes sense to them, and that's how they start to know you're in the game. So what Google Composer allows you to do is if you know nothing about how to change your site, you can download the software and it allows you to do it, and it's so easy, and you can change all of the title tags, meta tags, on-page descriptions, the stuff that the Google spiders want to see, and we're going to show you how to do that. Okay? Keyword Spy, another great tool. Market Samurai gives you competitive analysis on your entire industry. So if you want a top rank for Minneapolis florist, and you type that into Market Samurai, not only will it show you what the search volume is for that, I mean, you're going to know anyway because you're going to be using the Google keyword tool, but what Market Samurai does is it gives you the breakdown of the top 10 competitors on Google and all their numbers. And those numbers are going to start to be significant to you. You're going to start to understand what those numbers mean. Okay, so the SEO book toolbar, up the top of it, the first thing it shows you is the page rank of a site. The second thing it shows you is how many inbound links come into the overall site, so 308, and they have 144 links coming into that page. That's the one you want to focus on. We are obsessed with that second number every time we start to do SEO for a client.
The third number.
Sorry, the third number. Because what that tells us is if this website is top ranking for Atlanta wedding flowers, then the page that is causing that top ranking only has 144 inbound links. Now, there's an extremely good chance that 144 inbound links do not have the keywords Atlanta wedding flowers in it. And what we're talking about there, and I don't want to lose anybody, but other sites linking into your site with the keyword Atlanta wedding flowers and Minneapolis wedding flowers, you haven't asked permission, you haven't emailed everybody and saying, hey, would you like to link to my site? There's a way to do it that is not covert, but it's clever, right?
The best way to put this is I like to use the analogy that every single keyword is like an election. It really is. It's an election. So if I want to rank for Atlanta wedding florist, how many florists are there? I just want to kind of survey the room. Florists here? DJs? Photographers? Wedding planners?
Wedding planners? No?
Banquet owners? Banquet halls? Hey, here you go. So if first, let's just use Atlanta wedding flowers since that's up here. That's just an election. So what you want to do is, generally speaking, the person that has the most votes is going to win the election. So on the web, links are considered the vote. That is the vote. That is the currency on the web, as Chris mentioned. So if I wanted to rank for Atlanta wedding flowers or Atlanta wedding florist, I want to go out and I want to first do some research and find out what is it going to take to win the election. And that is by looking at this tool right here that you will download for free from SEO Book. There's no cost for that. And then you'll just start to look at these numbers. So the first thing that you're going to look at here is they have 144 links, like Chris said. So that means that they have 144 other websites that are linking back to their website. But there's a catch. Not all 144 of those websites use the anchor text, meaning the blue underline link, that says Atlanta wedding flowers. So the goal is to win the election, you want to get, in this case, we want to get maybe 145, 200, 300 websites to link back to my website using the anchor text Atlanta wedding flowers. Does that make sense?
The other things in the toolbar, it shows whether or not a site has a DMOZ listing. Google takes DMOZ very, very seriously. It's the world's oldest directory. It's human edited. It was owned by a US company, now it's owned by a German company. They are extremely strict. It's almost impossible to get a DMOZ listing, but do try to get one. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you get it in a month, sometimes you get it in 6 months, sometimes you don't get it at all, but try. If you get it, that's going to serve you extremely well.
And for those of you that are having kind of trouble like understanding this, I mean, we're going to overwhelm you with a lot of information. We do have everything that we talk about on bridal traffic, and we really go into detail with this using examples and animation. So it's on bridal traffic. Actually, this is chapter 2.
I believe it is. Yeah.
Yes.
It tells you how old a site is. Whenever you register a site, don't register it for 1 year, right? Google likes to see, first, older sites. So if you've had a domain for 10 years, you're in a great spot. Google loves that, okay? And if you are going to register your site or renew your registration of your site, make it for another 10 years. They want to see a commitment, okay? If you register for just 1 year, they look at that as you have your toe in the game. So register it for a very long time. A little trick, but it works. Next thing it shows is how much traffic on average this site gets. So this site gets about 651 visitors per month. And this red thing here, I won't go into too much, it's called SEM Rush. And what that shows you, once you click on that button, it opens up a new screen, and it will show you all the keywords that site ranks for. I mean, that's just huge, right? So if it's your competitor and you're trying to understand what they rank for, you're going to be able to do your reverse engineering just through that one little tool and one click of a button. It's really fantastic. Okay, so throughout this presentation, we're going to be giving you a checklist, and this checklist is going to be building and building. So the very first thing that we want you to do is have the right tools to work with, okay? Now, the second thing we're going to talk about is Google Local, even though it says Chapter 3. It is Chapter 3, but it's the second thing we're going to talk about.
Google Local this is kind of really important because this is something that is basically, it is just free advertising. And it doesn't take that much time at all to set up. I mean, Chris has actually tested it in some cases in smaller markets and actually had it up in the matter of, what was the quickest one that you've actually done?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. I mean, there's a process they have to actually approve you, but there's all these different variables that are considered when actually ranking sites in the A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And these are actually starting to get, sometimes, in some cases, more clicks than the organic search results because the organic stuff is happening down here.
Yep.
So Chris is an expert at this Google Local stuff.
Google Local is a hard nut to crack. I've been studying it for about 1.5 years, and I don't completely get it right every time. So don't feel bad if you go in there and it doesn't work. But I can tell you that from testing and measuring and seeing what works and what doesn't work, there are roughly 31 things that you should do with your Google Local listing.
Everybody write that down?
Okay, write down real quick. We'll send this presentation to everybody so you can go through the whole thing if you want to. One of the most important things, I'm just touch on 2 things. The address that you use for your Google Local listing, make sure that's the exact same address that's on the contact page of your website. Google goes out and they want to know you're telling the truth, right? So this isn't about link building. This is about making sure that other people verify you are who you are, okay? So that's one of the biggest things. These are called citations. So you want to build lots and lots of citations of other sites, not trying to get links into your site. If you get a link, that's even better, but just with your address on other people's sites. And there's ways to do that. We walk you through the whole thing of how to get citations coming into your site. But essentially, that's the number one thing. They want to know that you are where you say you are. I mean, how is it that if we go back, how is it that these guys are A and B's over there, and what's F doing way over there? Well, it's got nothing to do with their geography, a little bit to do with their geography. You're not going to be able to get into that area unless you are physically have an office in that area and can prove it. Okay, so they're looking for proof. So pile on the proof, and it's going to serve you very, very well. Again, as I said, there's 33. We're not going to go through all of them. And there's 7 things that you absolutely should not do with your Google Local listings. Okay? The number one thing, this is actually in reverse order. This should be up the top, but for whatever reason it's not. Multiple local business listings with the same address. That's something that people do a lot. So they try to get a lot of Google Local listings with exactly the same address. It trips the listing up. So if you try to have your wedding business listed for a number of categories, then you're using the same address. So you figure you're a photographer, but you're also something else, 2 other things, right? So you're trying to get in multiple listings and using, so now you have 3 entries on Google Local and you're using the same address. The rule is 1 address per listing, and you can't use that address again. They're really strict about that.
Chris, why don't you tell them where they go to initiate Google Local?
Yeah,
Google
sure.
Places?
Just go on to Google and type in Google Local Business, and it will take you to a place that's free of charge that you can get your Google Local listings.
And it's real simple. They just basically just self-explanatory. They're going to ask you some questions.
Yep.
And then, there are some strategies to get to the top, and a lot of that is in the variables that we will email, I think, the group here today.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so second thing, submit your business to Google Local Places. of Google Places and learn what gets you to the top, and then do it. It's going to take some work. You might get lucky, all right? You might just happen to catch lightning in the bottle the first time you do it, but try and you'll be surprised. People are really, particularly brides, they're really clicking on these things. They're really relying on local search for that. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is doing your keyword research and using the Google keyword research tools. I mentioned before, you want to know where the volume is. You want to know what the keywords are. Is it better to try to rank for Minneapolis florist, or is it better to try to rank for MN florist? You know, you need to know that information. The best way we know how, and the best way too, is to use this tool, the Google keyword tool.
So basically, what you see here is this is all nothing but market research, valuable market research. So I want to know which term is going to get me the most traffic. Therefore, I will actually build my search engine optimization strategy towards that plan. So in this case, I will put in a word or phrase. And if I was a florist in Atlanta, just using Atlanta as an example, I put that in there. What it's going to do is it's actually going to spit back results. It's going to make suggestions. It's going to say, well, Atlanta wedding florist gets about 480 people searching for that term every month. Atlanta wedding florist, plural, gets 260. And Atlanta wedding flowers gets 720 people that are searching for that. So what happens is you have to make a choice on what you want to rank for. Obviously, in this case, I want to get the most bang for my buck, so I'd probably try to get as many links pointing back to my website using the keyword Atlanta wedding flowers. Now, there's something else that's to be said about this strategy, because every web page, not website, but every web page is completely different to Google. So if you have a company, is there anybody that offers 2 different services here? 3 different services? Maybe you're a DJ in photography, something like that. What happens is you can have the opportunity to play in the game as many times as you want by creating as many pages as you want. So I would make my DJ page optimized for all of the DJ keywords and point links back to that site. And then I would make the other page optimized about photography and get photography links to point back to that page. So every single page is completely different. So that basically with this information, it dictates on where we're actually going to get the most ROI for a particular given keyword. And I think we're going to use an example here.
Yeah, we're going to use a few examples. We've taken 3 of the sites. We believe 3 owners of the sites are in this room. You don't know who you are, but we've looked at your sites, and we want to sort of use you as examples of everyone's a little nervous now. But my one comment about this: spend time on it. Don't race through it. Spend a whole day. Spend 2 days. It doesn't matter, right? This stuff is so important. If you're not taking your online marketing seriously, you're simply not taking marketing seriously. You got to get good at this stuff. Brides are flocking to the internet. I don't have the stats that Tammy does. She's the stat queen, but you know, we all know it's true. So just get good at it. The other tool I mentioned before, Market Samurai. Jason and I talked about this before today, and he said, I think it's a little too, you know, advanced for the group, but, you know, it's such a cool tool that just go and have a play with it. Go try it out. Even with a 30-day trial, you can get your whole market researched like in 30 days, no problem. You'll need that. You'll have that for a lifetime, right? The objective here is to understand what the competitive landscape looks like. You're going to be looking at that toolbar. Okay, you're going to be understanding who your competition is. You're going to be understanding your keyword research, your volume. So the next piece of the puzzle is you have to understand how big and bad and tough the other guys are, or if they're weak. And in local markets, they generally speaking, from an SEO perspective, are not that strong. You can get past them. Okay, so.
I assume we know the person with the head down is this way.
We don't know who this site is. So now we do, right. What is the pronunciation of this? It's being redesigned. Don't worry about that. You should see our site. You should see the EverSpark site. Not so great. You know, we're busy. It happens. What we're mainly interested in here, there's so many aspects that we could cover, but what we really wanted to touch on for the 3 sites that we're looking at is the keywords that you're currently ranking for, whether or not you know it or not, or don't, or more importantly, the keywords that you're trying to rank for, whether you know it or not. Okay, see this thing up here? This is called a title tag. This is the very first thing Google pays attention to, and it weighs a lot in terms of your ranking. I don't know if you can see that, but it says Chanhassen?
Chanhassen.
Chanhassen. Chanhassen Dinner Theaters. So unless someone knows your name, they're not going to find you. And then the second thing says Twin Cities Live Theater Productions. Not sure there's going to be a lot of search volume for that. So let's have a look. I looked for it last night, and I could find 0. So no one searching for that term. So I'm going to assume that you're a fairly well-branded company in this city, so you probably dine out on getting people to use your name, and so you're in a great spot from that perspective. But take advantage of what people are searching for as opposed to Twin Cities Live Theater Production. It's, people aren't searching for that. Instead, you might want to consider these keywords. For instance, things to do in Minneapolis might seem, and I don't know if this is a perfect fit. I'm just trying to give you an example. Okay, it might be wrong, but go with me. Things to do in Minneapolis gets 2,900 searches per month. If you just get 10% of those people coming through to your site, and if you close 5% of them, it's big. It starts to really add up, and that's just one keyword. What else is there? Twin City events, 880. A lot better than 0.
When you see the numbers that are really low like that, those are generally very, very easy to rank for. Very easy. I mean, I'm talking like go out and build 5 links, and you might notice yourself actually ranking for Twin Cities Entertainment.
Right.
It just basically shows that there's not a lot of people competing for those terms. Typically, as you see, the volumes kind of go up. Like for example, Minneapolis, Minnesota, right there. 5,400 people are searching that term each and every month. So that's a more competitive term than something like Twin Cities Entertainment.
And probably irrelevant, because people searching for Minneapolis MN aren't looking for what you do. So you want to match it up with what you do, make it, it doesn't have to be absolutely specific.
There's another rule too. So if there's anywhere from 1 or 2 keywords, most of the time people are doing research. Once you start going 3, 4, 5, 6, it becomes buying keywords. Like Nike shoes with blue laces, right? Instead of just Nike shoes. So as they start to get longer, we call those the long tail keywords, they become buying signs.
Before we move off of the site, I wanted to if everyone to pay attention to the SEO toolbook bar up the top. So it's telling us that if this was a live site, we'd be able to hover over those numbers. I believe that's a page rank of a 4. It's actually very good. That's a strong site. You have 4,000 inbound links coming into your overall site, and 3,000 of those point to this page. Okay, so the objective now is to work out how many of those links actually are really valuable links. If your company's been around for a long time, there's a very good chance that people just started linking to you, right? And it probably says click here, and probably says the name of your company, that kind of stuff. So what you're going to try to do is increase that number, but with the new keywords in the anchor text link building strategies that we're going to share with you in just a minute.
And I just want to share another case study. So as we're kind of sharing this stuff, I'm talking about links to the currency on the web, and the site that has the most links pointing back using the keyword is going to win the election. When you type in click here on Google, does anybody know what site comes up? Adobe. That's exactly right.
Well done.
I'm surprised you knew that. A lot of people don't know that. But the reason why...
Like most people.
Are you an SEO expert? The reason why is because there's so many websites all across the web that need people to open up PDFs with Adobe, so they say click here to download this. Click here, click here, click here.
Yeah. All right, it's over. That wasn't too painful, right? Now, this is the next one. What is this called? Invitations for Less. Are you in the room? Do you? Do you? Okay. Everyone says that. We're redoing the site. No, you're not. You're never going to do it. Oh, did you really? Good for you. I'm just kidding about it. You're not going to do it. Of course you're going to do it. But we're SEOs, and like I said before, I'm being serious. If you go to EverSparkInteractive.com, we are not proud of that site. But we're busy, and we're getting around to it, and we're going to do it in probably like a month or something like that. So even the guys who are in the game, we are guilty of the same thing. But let's look at your title tags. I know you can't see this very well, but discounted invitations, announcements and accessories for weddings, bar and bar mitzvahs, graduations, and holidays from invitations for less. Okay? Are you a national company? So you're local. But the bulk of your work is, the bulk is here. Okay. Remember what I said before, that search happens on a local basis? So what you're currently competing with every company in the world for the keyword
Discounted invitations.
Or bar mitzvahs. That's what Google thinks you want to rank for.
We really didn't get into that yet. What Chris is saying is when you start to look at this title tag here, what you want to do is, one, you want to keep it within 160 characters max. Anything longer, it's just gonna cut off on Google. So where does that come from?
We're not sure.
We're not sure.
Okay.
No, what it is, it's on
Remember,
your source code. So if you just look view source for a website, it's at the top. It's on the source code. There's only 3 things that you really need to be concerned about that are not actually visible on the page. And that is your title tag right here, which is extremely important. This is actually what Google shows in the bold blue when you do a search.
Yep.
So if you're doing a search for Atlanta wedding florist and you don't have Atlanta wedding florist anywhere within your title tag, because remember, it bolds the things that people are searching for. So if you don't have that in there, you're probably not going to rank for that keyword. So what you want to do, Chris is mentioning here, this looks like, just looking at this without paying any attention or having done any research on her site, that she wants to rank for discounted invitations, which is not a bad keyword to rank for if you can actually compete on a national level and sell invitations all across the world in the United States. But if you want to focus more on Minnesota, do you have a storefront? Brick and mortar? Okay. So if you have customers coming to your house and you want to get more Minnesota brides coming there, or not even brides, bar mitzvahs, all different kind of events, you probably want to incorporate Minnesota wedding invitations or Minnesota invitations, specializing in bar mitzvahs, graduations, so on and so forth.
And to answer your question, where does it come from? You control that. And we're going to show you how to control that. Okay, where to put it. Yes.
The search engine is actually a negative. The spiders feel you're negative if you have too many words.
Sure.
Backlash.
Sure. Yeah, she asked, basically she said, can you be treated in a negative way if you have too many words? And the short answer is yes. And there's also ways that you can actually over-optimize. So meaning if you just put discounted invitations, that used to be a way that you can actually rank. Like there used to be a time where you go on Google and you do a search for wedding invitations, and the site that you find, number 1, says something like this on the copy: "Welcome to the Wedding Invitations website, where we specialize in wedding invitations of all different kinds of wedding invitations. Wedding invitations. If you had it on your site 50 times and you wanted to compete with the next person, you have to put that word 51 times. So Google kind of made sense of that and said, whoa, this web is just a non-intelligent place to do your shopping these days. So they've actually discounted that, and now it doesn't necessarily, you have to have the content that's relevant about your subject matter, but you can now over-optimize your website and actually get penalized and not rank for it.
Yep. Okay, so I didn't know if you're national or local, so I just took a stab at making some suggestions in terms of the keywords that you might want to rank for. So this is the discounted invitations currently gets only 210 national searches per month. That's a national keyword, and that's the one you're going for. I would assume that it's very competitive, and people don't know the search volume is really, really small, and if you get an order, you might not mind an order in Chicago, but there's much more likelihood that you're going to be closing deals locally, so go for the local one. Instead of trying to optimize for that, you might want to go for these. I'm trying to remember my reasoning.
Do you know, like, let me just kind of show you something here.
Sorry, before you go on that,
Yeah.
affordable wedding invitations, right? Not discounted, affordable wedding invitations, 4,400. So if you bring that down to a local basis, and I didn't do the local one, but if you apply that, just put Minneapolis or put MN. Oh, you do? Really? Good for you. You're ahead of us.
So I was just going to say, you can look at this as the other side of the equation. Whereas, I mean, people like me, I look at keyword research like this as an opportunity to get into a business, right? So by looking at this, I might go home tonight and create a website that sells nothing but baby shower invitations, right?
74,000 searches
And
a
I'll
month.
create a website, and literally with the knowledge that I have and just the information that I have, I can probably have a site in #1 position on Google maybe in like a month and a half, 2 months, and get 75,000 people visiting that website, of which I won't even have to carry the supplies. I could outsource it to, what was your name? Well, I could outsource it to someone like you and just say, hey, listen, I'm just going to send you a ton of these baby shower invitations, service them for me, send them out to the client, and we'll just split it 50-50. So there's people like me and Chris and people in our industry that actually look at this as opportunities too.
Okay, we're going to go through the next one now. Midway party rental. Are you here? Over there. Okay. This really confused me. You too?
Whose site is this?
Over there.
There you are.
Because...
Actually, I think she did the tables, right?
Oh, did you?
They did a nice job with that.
Yes. Again, the things we're not touching on is site design and what's going on the page and conversion and what will make people take action, all that kind of stuff. That's a completely different topic. Whether or not you do or don't have trust symbols on there, we'll talk about that later in the presentation. But purely from a keyword perspective, you see at the top there it says Midway Party Rental? That's not what confused me. Most people get their title tags wrong until they know to change them. What confused me is that if you look at the search volume for Midway Party Rental, there's 590 searches a month for your company. Are you extremely well known? I mean,
No, I do about half of those.
You do? At least he's honest. Are you competitors?
Is he the competitor?
All right, I need you
He's
to
a
cover your
competitor.
ears. That's funny. Now, keeping in mind, though, that this is a national term, so there might be some other Midway Party Rental in Texas. We don't know, okay? That's why local search, it's really important to get focused on it. But then I started looking at what you do, which is tents and marquees, and I'm not as au fait with the wedding industry as Jason is, so you can probably talk more to it than I can. And I tried to work out locally what you should be searching, what you should be ranking for, and I was getting stumped. I really spent about half an hour on this last night, and I couldn't really find any volume for Minnesota tents, things of that nature. Now, and I'm only going to touch on this, but I want you to pay special attention. You're going to go to this tool, and you're going to get deflated, and you're going to see numbers like -10 and 72, and you're going to think, oh, it's not worth it. That whole topic is called long tail. And for the most part, you can rank, if you just choose the hero keywords, right? Choose the ones that are the biggest of the, if you have one that's 110 or whatever it is. But then with your blog, you're going to start to use your blog to rank for everything else. Okay, so you're not going to, it's actually a good thing because it means that the small search volume will mean it's less competitive in most instances. Okay? So I don't really have any major revelations for you in terms of what you should be ranking for, not that I did before, but start to look at Party Rental Minneapolis. At least it's got 170, and it's not the name of your company. And I don't know if you're going to be the guy controlling that or not. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to leave it there and take a break. Just this checklist now. So now you have the right tools to work with, right? You're empowered.
Is it break time?
You have visibility. You're going to be submitting your business to Google Places, and you're going to know how to do that and what things you should and shouldn't do. And you're going to be doing your keyword research based on the search volume and competitive landscape.
We said we were going to take some questions before the break.
Did we?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. How are we looking on time, Gary? Okay. Any questions so far?
We're going to use the microphone so everyone can hear the questions.
I am a location photographer, so shooting on location, my address, I don't really have an address. So if I list on Google Places, how would that work? Can I list it as a city and state without having to put my home address?
You have to do a P.O. box.
Okay.
Yeah. create a PO box. But make sure the PO box is in the city that you're trying to rank for. Yeah.
Another question about Google Places. Say that I am working with a company and I'm sharing a studio space with another company, and so we both have the same address, and we have two businesses running on the same address. But you just said that you can't have multiple businesses running on the same address.
That's
Can
Great
you, this is how I would play that. Is there suites there? Is there different suites at that address? You're the same suite. That's what I'm saying. Like, you might be able to put, like, if it's suite 100, put like an A next to it, and then for the other one, suite 100B. You might be able to get away with that.
I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't really know what the answer is. Yeah, there you go. One of you set up a PO box.
Another
That's going to be our
alternative.
answer for everything, by the way. PO box. Well, it is frowned upon, but if you do, like I said before, there's 31 things that you should be doing. If you do 10 of those things, then it's going to counterbalance the bad thing of a PO box, right? Again, the two biggest things that's going to get you to the top of Google Local is how many citations that you have from other sites, and how many inbound links. So we are getting into the SEO side of it. So SEO does connect with Google Local. So if you are building links with your keyword and you want to rank on Google Local for your keyword, it recognizes that you're actually in the game with SEO. Okay, so the two kind of work a little bit together. They don't love PO boxes, but they allow them, and they're not frowned upon as well as 1-800 numbers.
Before we get to the next question, you have to realize exactly why did Google put the places there. Like, it's not just to kind of drive traffic and manipulate it. The reason why they put places there is so that if you're looking for a pizza place close to where you live or where you search, you can actually do a search, and it's actually going to pull up a map, and it's going to tell you this one's A, B, C, and tell you exactly where they are closest to you, right? So by putting a PO box, you're basically defeating the whole purpose. However, you can still rank for that sometimes if there's not people competing in your space.
That's it.
So if you tried to rank for a pizza place with a P.O. box, there's probably a good chance you're never going to be able to get that to rank.
Yeah, one of our clients is a New York lawyer, a DUI lawyer, and trying to compete for New York lawyer, as you can imagine, is really, really hard. Not a chance anyone with a P.O. box is going to be able to get into Google Local listings. But, you know, in this area, in your market, in your slice of the world, I think you'll probably be able to get away with it.
I know a little bit about search engine optimization, but so I understand that these things are also very fluid, that they change. So 1 month you could be on top, and the next month you might not be. And I also understand by putting your keywords in and by changing your meta tags and tagging whatevers. But my real question is,
Tagging
how do you
whatevers
get
are
to
very important.
how do you get to stay on top? So let's say I'm on top of a search. How do I stay there? What do I have to do?
How do you stay there? Well, the thing that she brings up is a very, very important question, and it's the actual reason why if you walk into any Barnes & Noble bookstore, that you're only going to see maybe 1 or 2 books about search engine optimization. Because what happens is, by the time the book gets written, published, printed, and gets out into the market, a lot of that stuff is already outdated. So, you know, it's hard to keep books stocked on search engine optimization. And that's actually one of the reasons why we saw it as an opportunity to teach wedding professionals how to stay on top with the most cutting edge stuff. And that's exactly what Wedlock Magazine is. So if things change, there's people like me and Chris that are actually contributors to the magazine. Tammy is a contributor to the magazine. We're going to be aware of it, and we keep everybody notified through this magazine.
Another answer for that as well, and we're going to get into link building and how to build links. If you have 2,000 inbound links with the keywords that you want to rank for, and the second ranked site only has 12, you're going to stay on top for a long time. That's the single biggest thing. We talked a lot about title tags, meta tags. Those are called on-page factors. The on-page factors are not that important, right? They get you in the game, but they don't make you that competitive in competitive markets, right? So if you're in a market that's a little bit weak by way of SEO, all of those things become a little bit more important, or at least you can rank with them. And that's where you see a lot of fluctuation, right? People do those on-page things, and they're like, I got it, I understand. They go to that thing and they type the keywords in. But that only represents 15%. The heavy lifting, the most important part of SEO, is building links into your site and how many you have and who they're coming from. Okay, so once you know how to do that, you can control your own destiny. You can top rank for just about anything.
You can rank essentially for non-competitive keywords just by, like for example, if you're blogging, we're going to get into blogging here in a little bit,
Yeah.
but you can actually get to the top of Google for like a sentence, like cheapest wedding dresses in the state of Texas, right? You can actually get to the top of Google just by creating that as the title of the blog post. So that anytime anybody types in cheapest wedding dresses in the state of Texas, chances are you're actually going to rank #1 on that term without building any links. It's just all your on page. But if you put in cheapest wedding dresses, Texas, there's a chance that people are competing for that term, and that's going to require you to actually go and get votes for that.
Yep.
We're going to take a 10-minute break, then we're going to come back. There's a lot to cover, so have 10 minutes and come on back.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.